I have no special regard for Satan, but I think I can claim to have no prejudice against him. May even be that I lean a little his way, on account of his not having a fair show. All religions issue Bibles against him and say the most injurious things about him. But we never hear his side. We have only the evidence for the prosecution, and yet we have rendered the verdict. Now, to my mind, this is irregular. It is un-English. It is un-American. It is French. Without that precedent, Dreyfus could never have been condemned. Of course, Satan has some case. That goes without saying. Maybe a poor one. But that can be said about any of us. As soon as I can get at the facts, I intend to undertake his rehabilitation myself. If I can find an unpolitic publisher. We may not pay him reverence, for that would be indiscreet. But we can at least respect his talents. Any man who has for untold centuries maintained the imposing position of spiritual head of 4/5 of the human race and political head of the whole of it must have executive ability. Well, I should like to meet him. I'd rather meet him and shake him by the tail than any other statesman on the planet. I probably will. I remember once saying to our pastor, Joe Twitchell, that I hoped to be cremated, and he just looked at me and said, "Oh, I wouldn't worry about that if I had your chances." I've heard a good deal all my life about heaven and hell. And as near as I can figure it, if a man goes to heaven, he will put in all his time improving himself. He will study and study and study and progress and progress and progress, and if that isn't hell, I don't know what is. Well, now it's time to go. My feet are tired, and you are tired. You know, in the last year, since my 70th birthday, I have received hundreds of letters from all conditions of people, men, women, and children. And there's in them compliment, praise, and above all and better than all, there is in them a note of affection. Compliment as well, praise as well, but affection. That is the last and final and most precious reward that any man can win, whether by character or achievement. I'm very grateful to have that reward. Many and many a year ago, I gathered an incident from Dana's 2 years before the Mass. It was like this. There was a self-important little skipper of a coasting sloop engaged in the dried apple and kitchen furniture trade. And he was always hailing every ship that came in sight. He did it just to air his small grandeur and to hear himself talk. One day a majestic Indiaman came plowing by with course on course of canvas towering into the skies, her decks and yards swarming with sailors, her hull burdened to the plimsoll line with a rich freightage of precious spices, lading the breezes with gracious and mysterious odors of the Orient. It was a noble spectacle. Well, of course, the little captain popped into the shrouds and squeaked out a hail, "Ship ahoy! What ship is that? And whence? And without?" And the answer came back in a deep and thunderous bass through the speaking trumpet, "The Begum of Bengal! 142 days out from Canton, homeward bound. What ship is that?" Well, it just crushed that poor little creature's vanity flat. And it squeaked back most humbly, "Only the Mary Ann, 14 hours out from Boston, bound for Kidder Point, with nothing in particular." Oh, what an eloquent word, that only, to express the depths of his humbleness. Well, now, that's just my case. In just 1 hour of the 24, not more, I pause and reflect in the stillness of the night, and then I'm humble, and then I'm properly meek. And in that little while, I'm only the Mary Ann, 14 hours out, cargoed with vegetables and tinware. But during all the 23 hours, my vain self-complacency rides high on the white crest of approval. And then I am a stately Indiaman, plowing the great seas beneath a cloud of canvas and laden with the kindest words that have ever been vouchsafed to any wandering alien in this world, I think. Then I am the Begum of Bengal. 70 years out, homeward bound. Thank you and good night.